So Murad has famously predicted that the SPX 6900 token would have been the next Dogecoin, or the Dogecoin, but for this cycle. However, it's been a really rough year for crypto. Most of the majors are down over 50% since the start of 2025, and there's only a handful of tokens, Hype, Zcash, Monero, that have actually been in profit when measured for the year. In fact, SPX 6900 is over here down 12% for the year. So even though, like we've talked about on this channel, it is a strong token, it is still feeling the effects of the downward market. And a lot of people are worried it's going to do the exact same thing that all of other Murad's meme coin picks have done. This is GigaChad, which Murad was extremely bullish on, that peaked all the way up here at about 9.4 cents and then had a crazy fall off down to 5 cents and then down to 1.6 cents, so down 86%. And Murad has put out a warning for SPX 6900 to sell now if you want to miss out on this. What is this? I'm going to reveal it in this video. Before we jump in though, something really important. This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. Modern financial instruments, including crypto, are highly volatile and the majority of retail clients will lose money. Do not invest any capital you're not prepared to go to zero. Oh, and below in the description are 2 important links. The first is a link to our early alpha and whale tracking community that will monitor the wallets portfolios of big influencers like Musk, Trump, Tate, CZ, Becca, Murad, and Crypto God John, and will monitor these wallets on the blockchain and their social media for you to see any activity of new buys, promotions, or launches of new tokens, so we can send you a message the exact moment that happens, helping you move up the Web3 food chain. The second link is a link to our Financial Escape Velocity workshop to give you a clear and exact step-by-step personalized roadmap, and if you're really committed, make the world seem as cheap as Temu. With that being said, let's jump in. So, Murad not only has trimmed down his hair and he's looking amazing with that nice glow up, even though despite this market being pretty crazy recently, Bitcoin going from 126k down to 80k, now just really staying flat around 90k, has literally just posted 5 hours ago why he believes that the SPX 6900 is the next GameStop. If you don't remember GameStop, guys, it's the stock that went parabolic back in 2020. It was actually back in 2021, about 5 years ago now, because of the hedge fund squeezes. And in fact, I'm going to show you Murad's updated thesis on every tweet about SPX 6900 in order. I'll give you a little sneak peek here. Since we've started dipping from 126k Bitcoin all the way to our 90k where we're currently sitting today, to show you exactly his feelings with the flow of the market in sync, so you can see what he said on the big drops and what he's been saying recently. But this summary will show you his overall thesis. He's never been more bullish. He says, people this cycle have an obsession with calling tops every week. Here is Murad's take. Bitcoin will reach this price and the SPX 6900 will do this, is Murad's prediction. This was October 21, as you'll see, before a massive sell-off. And in fact, he says that everything continues to go according to plan. Prepare for the most important 6 months of your life. This was back here in July. And he drew the third bullish parabola here, which extends to March 2026. And funny enough, I feel like his timeline, sentiment-wise, has changed a little bit. But in reality, when we zoom out, we are still here in December and still have plenty of time for his thesis to play out. And if it sounds like a little bit like Cope to you, and you're not one of those true SPX 6900 believers, but you're just wondering if we are going to crash down to zero and if you should get out now, or if you'd be loading up on more, well, it's important that you dive deeper than just a green box. And Murad put out this insanely bullish video, which highlights, this was November 27th, guys, about 2 weeks ago, 116 reasons why the crypto bull market will continue into 2026. Not many people have predicted this before the end of this year, and now everyone is starting to agree with Murad, starting to agree with Rail Pal, saying that bullish conditions, extreme bullish conditions, which we're not going to go too far into in this video, but rate cuts coming, the debt being 5-year expiry, not a 4-year expiry, $2,000 stimulus checks in the US, and the M2 money supply flying is the TLDR version of that. But overall, so many people are coming around to the fact that they think the bull run will continue into 2026. And Murad, of course, thinks if you want to sell your SPX 6900 now, you're going to miss out on this, which is what Dogecoin did back in 2021. He thinks that only the truest believers, and you have to prove that you're a true believer. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm a true believer, and then as soon as it's a little bit volatile, get out. Because as you can see back here in 2021, before Dogecoin went crazy bullish, it had massive pumps and massive dumps. And you can see this isn't even the crazy bullish part. This here is the crazy bullish part. We'll just zoomed in on this little bit over here, which we're going to zoom in and enhance. You can see that Dogecoin went from this price right here, 0.007, all the way up to 0.07, and then crashed back down to 0.026. And if you sold when it crashed back down, yes, you probably would look like a hero at the time, especially if you sold the top of the market, but you would miss the parabola that Murad's thesis believes is still yet to come and will be coming in 2026. In fact, after this massive sell-off, so this is the Bitcoin peak right here. I would show you on the SPX 6900 chart, but there is no SPX 6900 chart. Don't know if you're aware of that or not. But we're going to show you on the Bitcoin chart because SPX 6900 is acting like Bitcoin, but with leverage. Now, you can see after this massive sell-off and then 1, 2, 3, 4 really negative days, sentiment was at all-time lows. In fact, sentiment has been down to single digits, which has been a long time since that happened. Murad made his prediction that I showed you on how high he thinks Bitcoin and SPX 6900 will go. And then even at this really bearish sentiment, he says, position yourself, parabolas are coming. In fact, on October 24th, he tweeted buy. And October 26th, he tweeted, delusional bulls will win in the end. Irrational, delusional bulls. Despite the market being on a massive downtrend, you have to be delusional in Murad's opinion in order to win in the end. In fact, the market even crashed further from 109,000 all the way down to 100,000 and was hovering here at 100,000. And of course, fell off a cliff down to 80,000 or just almost below $80,000 after that. And once again, everyone full of fear, everyone scared. Murad tweeted, I am bullish right here on November 6th. He said, holders and true believers, once again, delusional bulls, true believers will be rewarded massively here on November 5th. And November 8th right here, which is this little green candle, he says, enjoy the anticipation while it lasts, because everything you dream of will come faster than you think. Now, we've rode some more volatility and on the way down, I mean, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like a really negative week from 107K down to 91K, which I know you were around for that. I was around for that. It wasn't a fun week. Murad doubled down on his thesis, and he said his opinion is the SPX 6900 will go to this amount of market cap because it self-selects for people who don't care about money or material things. These people are the most powerful people in the world because you can't buy them. These are the people driven by things far greater than money. Things like meaning, purpose, loyalty, and legacy. This is the exact type of people who will persist forever despite the friction, despite the headwinds. Murad says, helping build the SPX 6900 to 1 million believers. At the moment, we're about 320,000 believers, so a third of the way there. May be your greatest contribution to the world. In fact, we're at about 320,000 holders. I don't know if everyone is a believer. I know people who hold SPX 6900 and are freaking out at the moment. So it is going to weed out people like that naturally, but 1 million true believers is all the SPX 6900 needs in order to enter the top 100 cryptos. In fact, Murad's thesis and his perspective says we are still needing to prepare. This is December 5th, guys. This is 4 days ago. For the biggest bull run that you've ever seen. In fact, that got 280,000 views on Twitter. And in fact, there was the world's first SPX 6900 meetup. And this was on December 8th right here, just a couple of days ago. And Murad says, people will look back at this the same way they look back at Bitcoin conferences from 2011. He says this is day one for SPX 6900. He believes we are far from the top. He believes the volatility, just like Dogecoin, just like any other massive movement in the past, is there and is designed to weed out those non-believers so that they get shaken out, they get doubtful, they sell their bags, and they don't get to enjoy the massive parabolas when the mainstream come. Now, if you want to know why, Murad and many other crypto experts are predicting that 2026 could be the most parabolic year that we've had in this cycle, go and watch my other video. I'll link below and pop it up here on the screen for you to watch on the thesis behind that and why it's looking like there's a very high chance that it's true.